In the context of Indian Ocean region, the marine economy and ocean governance are intertwined. The vast complex body of Indian Ocean faces a range of challenges that demand coordinated and effective governance to ensure its sustainability and security that require a collaborative approach involving international laws, regional network framework, and stakeholders' engagement. We believe that as a primary framework for the ocean governance, indeed is UNCLOS, that establish standards for environmental preservation and management of marine natural resources while regulating government's rights and obligation for the use of the world ocean. We also note that the 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development outline principle that all nations have the obligation to prevent harm from occurring outside their borders and to consult with other effective nations whenever planned activities may potentially harm others. Indeed, for the just mentioned by Mr. Ashok that the High Seas Treaty on Marine Biodiversity areas beyond national jurisdiction aim also at stewardship of the ocean on behalf of present and future generation and strengthening resilience to contain provision based on the polluter pays principle as well as mechanism for dispute in line with the Convention on the Law of the Sea. And in our view that the fundamental importance of having an efficient and effective ocean governance as a response to the global problem of the ocean is attached to the concept of the intergenerational solidarity, shared responsibility in the distribution of resources, and the equal development opportunities for all. As such, the governance must be inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. However, developing nations, especially small island developing states and LDCs, face significant capacity constraint in enforcing regulation, monitoring illegal activities, and developing their maritime economies, which present significant risk of deepening inequality and further marginalizing this most vulnerable nation. Therefore, it is critical to promote international cooperation to further increase capacity building and the transfer of marine technology, including the development and strengthening of institutional capacity and national regulatory framework or mechanism. It is also crucial in our view that we have to emphasize that the ocean governance should not be used as a means to penalize countries with limited capacities. Instead, it should be viewed as an opportunity to empower and uplift them to participate fully in the protection of our ocean for future generations. That is what, in our view, that's why IORA can do a lot of things that we are now also having doing. We aligned national policy with international treaties, such as the Global Treaty to Reduce Plastic Pollution, through the development and the adoption of the IORA Strategic Marine Debris Framework and capacity building activities. We also promoting sustainable practices like responsible fishing by establishing the guideline for combating IUU fishing and its follow-up activities. And indeed, we are also doing some activities, awareness on the BBNG, as this is a new regulation, new global regulation, new global laws that I think member states should have the knowledge and capacity how to implement it. That's something that we can do. I think we can say something with relation to the partnership later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Al-Farizi. Let me follow up with one point, because in this element of governance and recommendations that your organization is providing, are there elements related to the enforcement when we look, for instance, at the critical issue of illegal fishing, overfishing? Are there enforcement measures that are making these orientations, quote unquote, credible?
Yeah, just earlier this month, we just concluded our negotiation on the guideline, IORA guideline, to combat the IUU fishing. Thanks to the government of France through its very strong support to us. We already agreed to have this guideline. Hopefully in February, the guideline will be adopted by the ministers for the implementation. Indeed, IORA is not the organization that can enforce this kind of regulation. That's why we can only have the guideline, which indeed this is become a regional norm for countries in IORA to do their sustainable practice in the fisheries management in the ocean. And hopefully, because the development of this guideline is also include the participation of the dialogue partners, then we hope that not only the IORA member state, but also the dialogue partners as well as the countries outside of IORA can also join in the implementation.